Hey guys, my name is xOctoManx and this is part 8 of my turn-based battle system tutorial in Unity 5.3. In the last part we were just creating the new GUI, or basically we just added a spacer object. We made sure that we by script can populate the enemy buttons automatically and give them automatically the name and the game object of the right enemy in the scene or in the game. And what do we want to do next is we already created the new hero GUI enum, which we want to create right now as a state machine too. So basically we will go over and create a new switch statement for this one and go through all the states depending on where we are and what we need. Maybe we need to get rid of input 1 and input 2 later on, since we might handle those a bit different as I expected. So yeah, prepare for everything. So in our update function in the battle state machine, we go over and create a new switch statement as we have done before. So we type in switch, and in here, what do we want to switch? We want to switch the hero GUI. Or is it hero input? I don't know. Hero input. I believe it's hero input. Yeah, it should be. So curly brackets in front and into the bottom. And now we add all our needed cases. So in case of, then open close brackets. In case of hero GUI dot activate, we want to do something, so we say double dot after this one, and we want to break out of that when we are done with that state. So just like this, like so. So, and also we want to make sure that we all add all the other things. The most important ones right now are activate, waiting, and done. So let's go and just go over and copy this one basically. Just copy maybe 1 or 2 lines down and say instead of activate we are going to the waiting state. Basically it doesn't really matter in which, oh yeah, just it doesn't look cool. I don't know, let's just do that like so. It doesn't really matter basically. Okay, so and we need another one for going to be done. As I said, we might skip input 1 and input 2 later on. So at least I just go and just use that switch statement for this. So what do I want to create, or what do I want to do is, what do that enemy input needs to be is, if, well, we start at activate. Activate means in the start function, I need to go over and set the hero's input state is going to be equal to hero GUI dot activate. Well, this is just to make sure that it starts at this one and nothing else. To make sure nothing will happen or weirdly happen. Okay, so what we need to add is our 2 panels for our GUI. At first, those panels are going to be GameObject, so we say public GameObject, and then we have an attack panel which holds attack, defend, skill, item, magic, I don't know, whatever you think you need. And the second one is going to be equal to this one, or almost equal, so public GameObject, and this is going to be our enemy select. Let's say enemy select panel. There we go. Don't forget to save often. If you have done anything big, make sure you have. So now let's go to our battle manager. And in our battle state machine script, we should have attack panel and enemy select panel right under the spacer we just created in the last part. So what I want to make sure is I drag the action panel in the first one and the select panel into the second slot. So now I can activate and deactivate them whenever I want. So what does it mean? in start, I want to make sure that those two bars or those two panels are deactivated. So I go to the barrel state machine once again into the start function, and at first I want to get rid of those. So I deactivate them in start. So no matter if I have forgot anything or I don't know, I just want to make sure that those are deactivated. If you want to make this automatically, then you need to go over and find those game objects. So you can always go over and set them to private, find the game objects you need, and then just do that like this. So, which later on will be or might be better, since I don't know if this is really needed to be private. Just let us do it like this. So what I want to do is I want to set the attack panel set active to be false, just to make sure. Even if it's false already, make sure that this is false. Okay, so the next thing is the same with the enemy select panel. I want to make sure that enemy select panel is going to be set active to be false. I want to activate them. Oh, this needs to be inside of the brackets. I want to make sure that they are only then available or true or active when I want them to be, or the battle state machine, or basically the hero input state machine says here, do that, activate them. So when we save this one, we shouldn't see any of those two battle or panels when we start the game. They should be deactivated automatically, and now you can see they are grayed out in the hierarchy panel, and also they are not seen in here, which is great. So the next thing is we want to prepare the hero input activation. So in that hero input activation, we want to see, is there anything in the hero in the hero to manage list. So as we have done in here, we at first ask, is there anything inside that hero to manage list? So what I say is, if hero to manage dot count is going to be the same as the length in arrays, is going to be greater than 0. So if there is anything in, it doesn't really matter how much, but at least 1. Then do something. And what do we want to do is we want to set a new instance of our handle attacks, or handle turn in this case, handle turn, and create a new instance of this. Also, I want to make something on our heroes to make them visible when they are active. So one of those, and I want to make sure, okay, it's this one or it's this one. Well, how can I do this? It's pretty easy. I go into 3D mode, select that panel or that game object in here. You can do this in any way you want. I just want to create a new cube under this one, a new 3D object cube. I want to take this one up a bit, maybe. Maybe I also want to rotate it into 40, oh no, not scale, into 45 by 45 degrees, and maybe again 45, yeah, that looks okay. I believe I need to get rid of some space soon. And also I want to scale this one down to maybe this. So this is going to be my selector game object. I'm going to set or call this one selector, and maybe I give it a typo, selector. There we go. And I want to make sure that I create or add a new color to this. So go into my materials folder and choose yellow and just drag this one over. And the position doesn't really matter, but if it's at 1, it's pretty much okay. So I create a prefab out of this, so I drag this one into my prefabs folder, and I get rid of my storage problem. I will be back in a second. Okay, I cleaned up a bit space, so we have more time to to continue. So, if that heroes to manage count is going to be greater than 0, then we want to activate that selected game object I just created 1 second ago. I created a prefab because it's easier to handle later on and copy and paste and all the other things. So what I want to do is I want to add another selected game object to the second hero in here. So I just drag this one over and it automatically fits to the same, position, transform and stuff. So what else do we need? Well, we need a connection to that selected game object. So what we need to do is we need to find this one at first and then go deeper and set this one to active or inactive depending on when we are and where we are. We can, in our hero state machine itself, we can just make sure that we deactivate this automatically on start, or we can just go over and do this one directly in the scene. It doesn't really matter. It's just some lines more of code to activate and deactivate that. Okay, so let's go to our battle state machine and set this one, or find this one at first, and then set this one to active. So what we do is we take the first hero in our heroes to manage list, heroes to manage, at position 0. So 0 is the first one. What we want to do is we want to say transform.findChild, as you may remember from the last one. And in that child object, we want to find the selected game object. So make sure you spell it right and type it right. And it's going to be of type GameObject. And we want to say setActive to be true. So now we set this one active so we know, oh, okay, this is the hero which is currently going to attack, or which is the right interface for. So you know, okay, this hero has that, and this is going to be the active one. We just go and input the stuff for. So the next thing is we want to make sure that we activate the attack panel. So we say attack panel is going to be set active to be true. You may remember we just set this one to inactive at start, which is here. So we want to make sure that, oh, I forgot to set those brackets around like this. Don't forget to save again. And what we also want to do is we want to go in the waiting state to wait for input. So we say hero input is going to be equal to hero GUI, dot waiting, there it is. So we want to wait for the next input, and this is going to be again just our idle state, nothing else. So we select, or we activate the selector of the game object we find in the first slot of the hero to manage list, set this one to active, and then we go into the waiting state. Oh, I forgot to save, my fail. Don't forget that, it's pretty important. Okay, so also we can say we do and select both of those and deactivate them, so at battle start they won't be visible. Or we can do this again, as I said before, by script using the hero state machine, for example. So we just need a connection to that by saying public GameObject selector. Save this one, and when you go to your hero object, like hero 1 in this case, you can go over and drag in the selected game object in here. Same for hero 2 and here. Don't forget to save the scene, of course, too. We can now activate them once again. And in start, we can just go over and say in the hero state machine start, selector is going to be equal. Selector is equal, selector.setActive to be false. So now all of that selected game objects will be automatically disabled on start. So now let's see what's happening. Now, as you have seen, the bars are full, but at the same time we will go over and change something on that too. The panels are going to get activated, and the next enemy in the list, which is this one, it seems, is now get activated. pretty cool. So now we should have the possibility to do something with the attack and the defend button. So, but let's say we have some we are able to, for the hero state machine, so every hero will get another start of process bar, depending on maybe another stat like luck, or just a random value between 0 and, I don't know, 0.5, 2.5 maybe. What we can do is we can set the current cooldown at start to anything we want, not just 0 as we have right now, but we can say the current cooldown is going to be equal to random.range, and now we can, now we can set this one between 2 ints or 2 floats. We need floats because we are using floats, and we want a range between 0 and maybe 2.5f. And why is that not working in here? I don't know. Don't forget to save this one. And now when we start this one with that random.range, boss bars should start at any other position. As you can see now, this one has a bit more and this one has a bit less. So they will come in to different times. That's pretty cool and pretty easy random stuff. Again, you can use your luck. If you have a luck stat or a speed stat or whatever, then you can use that variable, which you may have in handle turns or basically in the base hero. If you have anything of that, like luck and so on, then you might go and use this stat values in the random.range one in here, or just set this one to the luck one. I don't know. It's up to you what you want to say. Okay, we don't need those, so now close this one once again. Okay, so now we activate the selector, and we have an active attack panel in here, and we have hero input we can just manage to do anything with. So what can we do at next is we can wait for the first and the second inputs. The first input will be from the attack button itself. So we need 2 new functions in the battle state machine. So we say void, which needs to be public, the first one of course. Public void, and then what we need is we need a name. We say just input 1. And as I didn't notice, we will need basically we don't need, but we can use this one as a new state, or well, it doesn't really matter. We don't need that in an extra state, I believe. Let me just check this one. And no, we don't need an extra state. Okay, so this is going to be from the attack button we just created, I don't know, a while ago. And we will make a connection from the attack button to that input input 1 thingy in here, the input 1 function. So what we say in here, what do we need? We need some informations from the hero who is going to attack, and send this one into the new created, or into a newly created instance of our, of our hero to manage, or basically handle attacks or handle turns. That's what we didn't or haven't done right now. So what we do is in hero GUI.activate, in that state machine, we also, before we go into waiting and before we set the activate the panel, we need to make sure that we create a new instance of hero choice, which is of type handle attacks. So we say hero choice is going to be new handle turn in my case, and that's it. Gonna save and need to open the door. Give me a second. Okay, so now let's go forward and fill up the input 1. The input 1 function. So what we need to do is is basically the same as we have done with the enemy state machine. So if the user is going to press the attack button, we will just connect to that input soon. Then we will do all the stuff the enemy state machine is going to do automatically. So we will populate the handle turn with all informations needed and place them into the firstly created hero choice, which is of type new handle turn or handle turn. So the new instance will get filled with all the informations we just need, and then we need to go forward. So we start with the easiest one. What we want to do is we want to, let's say, hero choice dot attacker, which is the part in handle turn, as you may remember, which is just a string name. So we can just do that, and when we can just set this one to anything we want. I'm gonna save this one once again. So what I can do is I can say this is going to be equal to the hero to manage 0 dot behind that dot, and in here we can just take the name directly from that, so we know the name of the hero to manage. We could also get a bit deeper inside. Instead of just taking the name directly from the game object, we could go into the base enemy, the base hero, and get the string name directly out of this. So it doesn't really matter, so make sure your hero is named the same as it is in the base hero class. If it is not the same, why ever, then make sure that you take the name directly out of the base hero class. I just shortened this one because my heroes will all have the same name, and my base class will also hold the same name, so it doesn't really matter. So do whatever you like and whatever fits you best. So the next thing is we want to store the attacker's game object. So who is going to attack, and we need to tell the state machine, or basically the hero's choice, also that stuff. So what I can say is hero's choice dot, and then we have attacker's game object is going to be equal to basically the same, which is hero to manage number 0 dot game object. No, it doesn't need to be dot game object because this is already a game object. So as you may have, as you can see here, it's automatically a game object. So we take this one and place this or save this in hero choice. So the next thing we want to do is we want to set the type of the hero. So if we are not choosing or taking the type, we are not able to check if this is of type hero or type enemy. So we need to make sure that this is going to be of type hero. So what we say is hero's choice dot type is going to be equal to, and then we can just set this one by hand, hero. Since this is a string value which is in here, then we can just take that and do everything. And what we want to do next is when the player has clicked that first attack button, give me a second, maybe I can show this once again, which is in the action panel. There is that attack button. I'm gonna deactivate the select panel once again. Oh no, that was the wrong one. Oh, let me deactivate this one. Now you can see this attack button in here. This will hold the information, or basically will call later on this function. So when I click the button, or whenever whoever is clicking the button, then this function will be called and all of that will be stored automatically in hero choice. Because since it is just a normal attack button, I can say, okay, he is going to do an attack and just to do everything automatically in here and store all that information. And once we are done with that input, we want to make sure that we disable the attack panel, since we already have chosen everything. We can also, if we later on go and use canceling some input and so on, we might go to deactivate all that stuff, or change something here and there anyways. So what we say is the attack panel dot selective is going to be false, since we don't need to need any other input from that attack panel anymore, since we just have chosen the attack button, of course. Also, it's the same at the same one, we want to set the enemy select panel to be true, to be able to input the enemy, so we can choose which enemies we want to attack. So with that done, we can go over, save all of that stuff, and go to our attack button. And this attack button just gets an on-click event, which is in the battle manager. So drag in the battle manager into that on-click event, say battle state machine, and choose input 1. So once anyone is going to select this one, we're gonna test this out, of course. There we go. So once I'm going to click the attack button, this will be disabled and the select target panel will be enabled. As you can see right now, I just disabled the action panel and the select target panel is activated. And now I should be able to select the enemy I want to attack. So I need to set all the content for enemy 2 and enemy 1 buttons too. So let's go over and do that. So to do that, we need another function, of course, and we need what do we need? It's going to be a public void, and just let's call this one input 2 in our case. Later on we can rename all that things, it doesn't really matter. This is going to be enemy selection. So what we need now is which enemy is going to be attacked. So depending on when the input selects a second enemy, then we need to store that enemy, whichever is selected, in hero choice 2. So what we can do is we send in the GameObject, which is going to be basically the enemy prefab or whatever, and we call this one just choose an enemy, maybe like this. And we with the next button we will just send in the choose an enemy and send this one into input 2, and we can just say hero choice dot, and then we have the attacker's target, which is we are aiming for. So attacker's target is going to be equal to the chosen enemy. So we need to make sure that we pass in all that information on click. And I will show you this one in just a second too. So, and when we have done that input, we want to go over and say hero input. We want to change, basically we want to change to that case or to that state. We just say, even if we don't need to, since we are in waiting anyways, but yeah, we want to make sure that everything is kind of useful. We want to say hero GUI dot done. So we start the next case in here, and in here we just want to start basically a new function. And this function, I believe we could just get wouldn't need to do all that things separately, but yeah, it's better, I believe. So I just call the new function hero input done, like so. We don't need to pass in any parameters, but what we want to do is we want to say, well, we have two possibilities in here. We can pass in the information into collect actions, and then yeah, pass in the hero choice directly in that function, or we can just say perform list dot add, and what do we want to add is we want to add hero choice, since it is of type yeah, handle turn. So the next thing is the enemy panel or select panel needs to be deactivated. So we say set active is going to be false. So to make sure that the input panel is deactivated and no other input is possible. Then what we want to do next is we want to deactivate the selector on the hero itself, so it's unselected. So we need to say hero to manage. Where is it? There we go. Hero to manage, and what we say is basically the same what we have done here at the top somewhere. Yeah, this is this one here. So you can go over into the activate case and just copy and paste that line, or just write this one out. What we want to say is dot transform dot find child. I could have catched this before selector, but that's okay. Dot GameObject dot set active, and then we say false. So the user also know this hero is not active anymore. So make sure that you give input, or basically some response to the player when he has done everything right or wrong or whatever. So the next thing is we want to remove the current inputted hero from the hero to manage list, because it is done and we don't need this anymore in there, because it will be added in the next turn when the processing is done and all the other things once again. So we say hero to manage dot remove add, and then we say 0. So we remove the 0 hero to manage. And the one, if there's the second one already in, no matter how fast we have clicked, if the second one is in there already, then it will be automatically going from 1 to 0 spot. That's again the cool thing at lists. And then we want to set the state back again. So hero input is going to be equal to hero GUI dot activate. So we go back in the state machine of the second switch we already created in the last video. Where is it? Here it is. So we go to activate once again and check if there is any hero to manage anymore in the list, and then we go and repeat all that steps over and over again until the fight is over. And yeah, that's pretty much everything for this part, I believe. We can go over and test this one out, and we can give some input back. So so in the perform list 0, if the next performer in the list is going to be a hero, then I can just get or give a debug.log, and then I can say hero is here to perform. So I will get an information that somebody, or basically a hero, is inside the perform list because we pushed or added it into the perform list, and then we should be able to do anything with that hero, like doing all the action as the enemy is doing. Currently we don't have that, but let's see what it's doing. So the boss starts somewhere, then we can input attack, then we can select any enemy. Let's say we select enemy 2. Oh yeah, we forgot to add that stuff to the enemy buttons. So let's go and do that pretty quick too. So in our prefabs folder there is a target 1 button, and the target 1 button again is that select target input panel. We just populating, but we don't have any on-click event on that buttons. Also, we don't get the prefab information in here. What we need to do is, oh wait, we should get the prefab information. Let's see. So it should be already populated. So let's go and look. Yeah, the tar enemy 2 is already in the list, and this one is enemy 1. That's pretty cool. So now let's go to the prefab and add a new on-click event. So if I click that button, what I want to do is I want to populate input 2 with the right game object. And to get that done is we need to go at first into enemy select button script and need to add some code, not much but a bit. So where is it? Enemy select button. In here we go over and we use that function to send the enemy prefab into the battle state machine's input 2, I believe. So let me just go over and check this one pretty quick. Yes, as I said, we need to say dot input 2, which is the game object we just created in here, input 2, and then we pass in the enemy prefab like this. So now when we select the current button, whichever it is of the populated one, and we call the select enemy function on click, then we will populate the battle state machine with input 2 and place in the enemy prefab into the script, or basically into the handler turn, which will be automatically populated with all that stuff. So, but there is still no on-click event right now. So what I need to do is, I believe there is no other way, I need to take the prefab, place this for a second into the spacer, then drag in from the spacer. I need this script needs to be inside here. So what we need to do is we need to take the same button and drag this one in here. Then we go to our enemy select button script and say select enemy. And that's it. So now store or save the prefab by hitting the apply button over here and get rid of the target 1 button once again. What is happening? We can only save or store connections inside the target or inside the prefab. Only we can hold the connection if the script is on the same prefab, so like this one is, and then we are able to perform the actions in this in the scripts and do whatever game object we have passed in before. So let's save the scene. And let's test this one out once again. So the first one is going to have input right now. We can say attack. Then we say we select enemy 1, and let's pause this. The battle manager should have heroes to manage are hero 2 and hero 1. The hero input is done already. We forgot to call the function. So in hero we are going to this statement where we didn't call the function for hero input done. So we need to say in the switch statement of hero GUI.done, we just call hero input done. Save this one. So now all that stuff should work. Let's see. Give it a second to load. Test again. So again, the bars will full. We can say attack enemy 1. Now what happened is, in the where is the right list? In the perform list, we have 3 instances. The first one is hero 1, which has everything in here. It says itself is going to be hero 1. It's going of type hero, and it's himself, which is the attacker, which is the name, and of course we have here the attacker's target, which will be enemy 1. I can also go forward, say now I am at the second one, and can say I want to target enemy 2. So now both of that selector objects are deactivated, and we are not able to populate the heroes again until we say we can do. So now you can see the perform list has hero 1, enemy 2 is the next one who will attack, then enemy 1 will be the next attack, and the last one will be hero 2, which will perform the attack. As long as hero 1 or any of the heroes cannot perform any actions, as the enemies already can do, they won't go forward and they won't get deleted out of the list, and so on and so on. But this is what we will do in the next video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you learned something, or at least more than you have done before. I hope I see you in the next part, and of course make sure you subscribe to my channel for future videos, and yeah, feel free to comment, rate, and all the other things. Yeah, so see you in the next part. Bye bye.